Hello and welcome to this continuing First Look Exploring session looking at Every Man in His Humour by Ben Jonson. We are approximately halfway through our epic journey through this comedy of humours. We're getting more data as to what is meant by all this stuff about humours. We're being moderately cryptic. We're allowing the text, hopefully, to expand on that, which it is doing. We've been giving some more definitions by characters as we've gone along. What is a humour? It is a monster bred in a man by self-love and affectation and fed by folly. If you wanted to know, there's going to be more of that because there are more humours plays to come. There's an earlier one at least, and more in the pipeline from Ben Jonson himself. As we continue our journey from Act 3, Scene 3 onwards, we're not going to finish the play today. We've got another session following on from this, which will resolve everything for this play at least. This is the earlier version of the text. This is the one set in Italy as opposed to one set in London in a later reworking. So there's a whole series of textual variations and questions that will come up further down the line when we return to this in different forms. To continue our journey, reading today, various characters. Reading Biancha and Tib is...
That's me. Hello. Briony Sparrow, actor in Lincolnshire.
Reading Musco and Piso today is...
Aliki, Chapple, actor, translator, theatre maker in Lancashire.
Reading Lorenzo Senior and Hesperida is...
Rachael, actor on the East Coast.
Reading Thorello and Bobadilla is...
Hi, I'm Eric, and for this session I will not be me, because I'm not me anyway, so it's fine.
Reading Cobb and Matheo is...
Hello, my name is Lynn Freitas. I'm an erstwhile teacher. I live in the northwestern United States.
Reading Giuliano is...
I'm terribly sorry. I was pondering on Lynn's use of erstwhile. Sorry, my name is Helen Good. I'm an erstwhile historian, which means I still do history but don't get paid.
Reading Peto and Lorenzo Jr. is...
One Scott, confused in Suffolk.
And reading Clement and Prospero is...
Lois Potter, once and future academic living in London.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'll be reading stage directions. I will be stepping in to read the odd additional part as well, Stephano, and occasional cover some clashes because we don't quite have the right numbers in the room to do. As the play goes on, it's been actually quite straightforward to do this play so far because actually most of the scenes have been quite small in stature. But as the play goes on, more and more people turn up at the same time. It's so annoying. So we're hopefully we'll stagger through that and that'll be fine. Anyway, we have, by this point in the play, we've got a lot of characters on stage doing things. We've got a lot of interaction. We've got various people who we could say are marks, they're gulls being gulled by various other people. The characters are starting to come together in rooms at the same time rather than sort of setting up material in separate little units. And we rejoin the sequence now with Thorello, who has been doing an awful lot of internal monologuing in the play so far, and Cobb, who's been getting a raw deal through his earthy wisdom. So Act 3, Scene 3, enter Thorello with Cobb.
How many are there, sayest thou?
Marry, sir, your brother Prospero.
Tut, beside him, what strangers are there, man?
Strangers? Let me see. 1, 2. Mass, I know not well. There's so many.
How so many?
There's some 5 or 6 of them at most.
A swarm? Spite of the devil, how they sting my heart. How long hast thou been coming hither, Cobb?
But a little while.
Didst thou come running?
No, sir.
Tut, then I am familiar with thy haste. Bound to my fortunes, what meant I to marry? I that was ranked in such content, my mind attired in such smooth silken peace, being free master of mine own free thoughts, and now become a slave. What? Never sigh. Be of good cheer, man, for thou art a cuckold. 'Tis done, 'tis done. Nay, when such flowing store, plenty itself falls in my wife's lap, the cornucopia will be mine, I know. But Cobb, what entertainment have they? I'm sure my sister and my wife would bid them welcome, huh?
Like enough, yet I heard not a word of welcome.
No, their lips were sealed with kisses, and the voice drowned in a flood of joy at their arrival, had lost her motion, state, and faculty. Cobb, which of them was it that first kissed my wife? My sister, I should say. My wife, alas, I feel it not her. Huh? Who was it, sayest thou?
By my troth, sir, will you have the truth of it?
Oh, aye, good Cobb, I pray thee.
God's my judge. I saw nobody to be kissed, unless they would have kissed the post in the middle of the warehouse, for there I left them at their tobacco with a pox.
How? Were they not gone? And then ere thou camest?
No, sir.
Spite of the devil, what do I stay here then? Cobb, follow me.
And exit Thorello.
Nay, soft and fair, I have eggs on the spit. I cannot go yet, sir. Now I am for some diverse reasons hammering revenge. Oh, for 3 or 4 gallons of vinegar to sharpen my wits. Revenge, vinegar revenge, russet revenge. Nay, and he be not lean in my house, I would never have grieved me. But being my guest, one that I'll be sworn my wife has lent him her smock off her back, while his own shirt has been at washing. Pawned her own neckerchiefs for clean bands for him, sold almost all my platters to buy him tobacco, and yet to see an ingratitude wretch strike his host. Well, I hope to raise up an host of furies. Oh, here comes Mr. Doctor.
And enter Dr. Clement, Lorenzo Sr., and Peto.
What, Signor Thorello gone?
Aye, sir.
Pardon me, what made him leave us so abruptly? How now, sirrah, and what make you here? What would you have, huh?
And please your worship, I am a poor neighbor of your worship's.
A neighbor of mine, knave?
Why, at the sign of the water tankard here by the green lattice. I have paid scot and lot there any time this 18 years.
What, at the green lattice?
No, sir, to the parish. Marry, I have seldom scaped scot-free at lattice.
But what business hath my neighbor?
And it like your worship, I am come to crave a peace. I have craved the peace of your worship.
Of me, knave? Peace of me, knave? Did I ever hurt thee? Did I ever threaten thee or wrong thee, huh?
No, God's comfort. I mean your worship's warrant for one that hath wronged me, sir. His arms are at too much liberty. I would fain have them bound to a treaty of peace, and I could by any means compass it.
Why dost thou go in danger of thy life for him?
No, sir, but I go in danger of my death every hour by his means, and I die within a 12-month and a day. I may swear by the laws of the land that he killed me.
How, knave, swear he killed thee? What pretext, what color hast thou for that?
Marry, sir, both black and blue, color enough, I warrant you. I have it here to show your worship.
What is he that gave you this, sirrah?
A gentleman in the city, sir.
A gentleman? What call you him?
Signor Bobadilla.
Good. But wherefore did he beat you, sirrah? How began the quarrel twixt you, huh? Speak truly, knave, I advise you.
Marry, sir, because I spake against their vagrant tobacco as I came by them, for nothing else.
You speak against tobacco? Peto, his name.
What's your name, sirrah?
Oliver Cobb, sir. Set Oliver Cobb, sir.
Tell Oliver Cobb he shall go to the jail.
Oliver Cobb? Master Doctor says you shall go to the jail.
Oh, I beseech your worship, for God's love, dear Master Doctor.
Nay, God's precious, and such drunken knaves as you are come to dispute of tobacco once. I have done. Away with him.
Oh, good Master Doctor, sweet gentleman.
Wait, Oliver, would I could do thee any good? Master Doctor, let me entreat, sir.
What? A tankard bearer, a threadbare rascal, a beggar, a slave that never drunk out of better than piss-pot metal in his life, and he to deprave and abuse the virtue of an herb so generally received in the courts of princes, the chambers of nobles, the bowers of sweet ladies, the cabins of soldiers. Peto, away with him. By God's passion, I say, go to.
Dear Master Doctor.
Alas, poor Oliver.
Peto, aye, and make him a warrant. He shall not go, I but fear the knave.
Oh, divine doctor, thanks, noble doctor, most dainty doctor, delicious doctor.
Exuent Peto with Cobb.
Signor Lorenzo, God's pity, man, be merry, leave these dumps.
Troth, would I could, sir, but enforced mirth, in my weak judgment, has no happy birth. The mind, being once a prisoner unto cares, the more it dreams on joy, the worse it fares. A smiling look is to a heavy soul as a gilt bias to a leaden bowl, which in itself appears most vile, being spent to no true use, but only for ostent.
Nay, but good signor, hear me a word. Your cares are nothing. They are like my cap, soon put on and as soon put off. What, your son is old enough to govern himself? Let him run his course, it's the only way to make him a staid man. If he were an unthrift, a ruffian, a drunkard, or a licentious liver, then you had reason to take care. But being none of these, God's passion, and I had twice so many cares as you have, I'd drown them all in a cup of sack. Come, I muse your parcel of a soldier returns not all this while.
And they exit. Clement, it'll be fine. That's generally, what are you worrying about? You see, his son will be cool. So this is a callback to incident not that long ago in the play of Cobb getting a thorough thrashing for not speaking up against the evils of tobacco, which Bobadilla was all in favour of. And revenge, vinegar revenge, russet revenge. And we also have a continuation of Thorello's sort of interior trauma, a real or imaginary. Helen.
Can I just check? I muse your parcel of a soldier returns not all this while. That's Musco.
Yeah, in disguise, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So he's already seen him, presumably, because that's where Lorenzo Sr. was going. I mean, someone said he was at Justice Clement's, so he must have gone there with he went there with Musco, and then Musco stole away to talk to Lorenzo Jr.
Yeah, so
right.
it's one of those instances of I'm just going to mention a character in passing just to remind you that there's a plot thing going on somewhere, and maybe they'll come on stage in just a moment, any second now. Briony.
Yeah, I was a bit confused by the line about make him a warrant he shall not go, but I fear the knave.
Oh, well, I was trying to make it clear that he's doing that whole thing to scare Cobb, because we've been told that Justice Clement is humorous, and his particular humor just seems to be completely zany, and even though he's a senior legal official. So he's pretending that he's going to send Cobb to jail for having spoken against tobacco, but he has no intention of doing that. He just thought it'd be fun to scare him. I mean, some people's
I thought
idea
that
of
was
fun.
the case, but yeah, it seemed a bit weird.
Yeah, it's not desperately clear, because it does turn on a sixpence at that moment. It's it's not signposted really anywhere else. Eric.
What I enjoyed was the whole thing of tell him you have, he's going to go to jail, but they're all in the same room. They're not like sort of, it's not like, you have to go and give him the message. Please tell Mr. Cobb that you are going to. It was just enjoyable.
Yes.
I guess he's enjoying all the paraphernalia of a court where somebody else has to speak for the judge. So he only starts doing that when he decides to put on that act.
Helen.
Oh yeah, no, I was actually but I have got something to say. Come to think of it, I did love the fact that Cobb never drank out of better than piss pot metal in his life. I think that, yeah. I mean, are we talking about, we're not even talking about pewter here. We're talking about some really base metal. Tin, maybe?
Maybe. England had there's a lot of tin.
Yeah. Makes you wonder. It changes my view of piss pots.
My view of Cobb.
Yeah. Oh no! Well, again, it's another slander against Cobb's. Everyone assumes Cobb is this person, but I'm increasingly of the opinion that Cobb is the wisest person in the room. Eric, then Briony.
I just sort of Dr. Clem's going, if you're an unthrifted drunkard, a ruffian, or a licentious liver, then you would have reason to worry. So basically, sort of things that he might do that you shouldn't be worried about, but he could sort of be worried about, assuming, because he's a father, I assume he worries in general. I don't know, just sort of trying to sort of signpost what might happen. Yeah.
Briony.
I just really liked the little line about be merry, leave the dumps. I thought that was quite nice because it almost has like a ring of modernness to it.
Yeah, we've had quite a few plays in the last year where people talk about themselves being in the dumps. I mean, it does seem to have really, really survived in quite a similar meaning. So it's I do like it. It's the same with piss. I mean, just for some reason that just feels like, oh, it sounds like they're swearing. Oh, it sounds modern now. I don't know where piss lives on the general scale of rudeness these days. Anyway, other thoughts while I go off on random tangents. It's a Thursday, you can tell. Eric.
Well, what I really liked about because Thorello was paranoid yesterday, but now he's just like escalated into this thing of like, what? How dare they? 5 or 6 strangers? This is an orgy. This is a gangbang or whatever. Like, in his imagination or something.
Yeah, and
it's just kind of, I know.
And these Freudian slips that are coming out as well. Cobb, which of them first kissed my wife? My sister, I should. Where am I landing here? Where am I? So yeah, he's not in a good place. He's just getting worse and worse. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, we'll go on to Act 3, Scene 4. So we'll see what's going on here as hopefully, I say, continuing momentum. Act 3, Scene 4, we enter Giuliano with Bianca.
Well, sister, I tell you true, and you'll find it so in the end.
Alas, brother, what would you have me do? I cannot help it. You see my brother Prospero, he brings them in here. They're his friends.
His friends? His friends? But they do nothing but haunt him up and down like a set of unlucky spirits. Sprites, even. And tempt him into all manner of villainy that can be thought of. Well, by this light, a little thing would make me play the devil with some of them, and 'twere not more for your husband's sake than for anything else. I'd make the house too hot for them. They should say and swear all hell were broken loose ere they went. By God's bread, 'tis nobody's fault but yours. For an you had done as you might have done, they should have been damned ere they should have come in. Ne'er a one of them.
God's my life, did you ever hear the like? What a strange man is this? Could I keep out all them, thank you? I should put myself against 6 men, should I? Good faith, you'd mad the patientest body in the world to hear you talk without any sense or reason.
Enter Matheo with Hesperida, Bobadilla, Stephano, Lorenzo Jr., Prospero, Musco, and Uncle Tom Cobley and all.
Servant, in troth, you are too prodigal of your wit's treasure, thus to pour it forth upon so mean a subject as my worth.
You say well, you say well.
High day, here's stuff.
Oh, now stand close. Pray God she can get him to read it.
But fear not. I warrant thee he will do it of himself with much impudency.
Servant, what is that saying, I pray you?
Marry an elegy, an odd toy.
Aye, to mock apes withal. Oh, jeez, you.
Sister, I pray you, let's hear it.
Mistress, I'll read it if you please.
I pray you do, servant.
Oh, here's no foppery. Blood, it frets me to the gall to think on't.
And exit Giuliano, we think.
Oh, aye, it's his condition, peace. We're fairly rid of him.
Faith, I did it in an humour. I know not how it is, but please you come near, signor. This gentleman hath judgment. He knows how to censure of a... I pray you, sir, you can judge.
Not I, sir, as I have a soul to be saved, as I am a gentleman.
Nay, it's well, so long as he does not forswear himself.
Signor, you abuse the excellency of your mistress and her fair sister. Fie, while you live, avoid this prolixity.
I shall, sir. Well, incipere dulce.
How incipere dulce? A sweet thing it to be a fool indeed.
Oh, what? You take incipere in that sense?
You do not, you? This was your villainy to gull him with a mot.
Oh, the bencher's phrase, pauca verba, pauca verba.
Rare creature, let me speak without offence. Would God my rude words had the influence to rule thy thoughts as thy fair looks do mine, then shouldst thou be his prisoner, who is thine.
Tut! This is in heat here on Leander.
Oh, aye. Peace, we shall have more of this.
Be not unkind and fair. Misshapen stuff is of behavior boisterous and rough. How like you that, signor? Sblood.
Blood, he shakes his head like a bottle to feel and there be any brain in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it must be somebody like that. I mean, it
Yeah,
can't be him.
we just for the viewers at home, we have a moment in the text which is not clear as to who's speaking what at this moment. So that felt like a good interjection. Continue, Matheo, after that.
But observe the catastrophe now. And I in duty will exceed all other, as you in beauty do excel love's mother.
Well, I'll have him free of the brokers. He utters nothing but stolen remnants.
A good critic, forbear.
Pox on him, hang him, filching rogue, steal from the dead. It's worse than sacrilege.
Ah, sister, what have you here? Verses? I pray you, let's see.
Do you let them go so lightly, sister?
Yes, faith, when they come lightly.
Aye, but if your servant should hear you, he would take it heavily.
No matter, he is able to hear, to bear.
So are asses.
So is he.
Oh, Signor Matheo, who made these verses? They're excellent good.
Oh God, sir, it's your pleasure to say so, sir. Faith, I made them extempore this morning.
How, extempore?
I would I might be damned else. Ask Signor Bobadilla. He saw me write them at the, pox on it, the mitre, yonder.
Well, and the Pope knew he cursed the mitre. It were enough to have him excommunicated all the taverns in the town.
Cousin, how do you like this gentleman's verses?
Oh, admirable! The best that ever I heard.
By this fair heavens, they are admirable, the best that ever I heard. Enter Giuliano.
I am vexed. I can never hold a bone of me still. Spud, I think they mean to build a tabernacle here. Well?
Sister, you have a simple servant here that crowns your beauty with such encomiums and devices. You may see what it is to be the mistress of a wit that can make your perfections so transparent that every blear eye may look through them and see him drowned over head and ears in the deep well of desire. Ah, Sister Biancha, I marvel you get you not a servant that can rhyme and do tricks too.
Oh, monster! Impudence itself. Tricks.
Tricks, brother, what tricks?
Nay, speak, I pray you, what tricks?
I never spare anybody here, but say, what tricks?
Passion of my heart, do tricks?
Spud, here's a trick, vide and revide. Why, you monkeys, you, what a caterwauling do you keep? Has he not given you rhymes and verses and tricks?
Oh, see the devil.
Nay, you lamp of virginity, that take it in snuff so, come and cherish this tame poetical fury in your servant. You'll be begged else for a concealment. Go to, reward his muse. You cannot give him less than a shilling in conscience. For the book he had it out of cost him a teston at the least. How now, gallants? Lorenzo, Signor Bobadilla? What? All sons of silence, no spirit.
Come, you might practice your ruffian tricks elsewhere else, and not here, I wis. This is no tavern, nor no place for such exploits.
Lord, how now?
No, boy, never look askance at me for the matter. I'll tell you of it by God's bread. Aye, you and your companions, mend yourselves when I have done.
My companions?
Aye, your companions, sir, so I say. Splud, I'm not afraid of you, then neither. You must have your poets, your cavaliers, your fools follow you up and down the city, and here they must come to domineer and swagger. Sirrah, you ballad singer, and slops your fellow there. Get you out, or by the will of God, I'll cut off your ears. Go to.
Lad, stay, let's see what he dare do. Cut off his ears? You are an ass. Touch any man here, and by the Lord, I'll run my rapier up to the hilts of me.
Yeah, that would I fain see, boy.
Oh, Jesu, Piso, Matheo, murder!
Help! Help, Piso!
They all draw, enter Piso, and some more of the house to part them. The women make a great cry.
Gentlemen, Prospero, forbear, I pray you.
Well, sirrah, you Holofernes, by my hand, I will pick thy flesh full of holes with my rapier for this, I will, by this good heaven. Nay, let him come, gentlemen. By the body of St. George, I'll not kill him.
And they offer to fight again, and they are parted.
Hold, forbear.
You horse and bragging coistrel.
Enter Thorello.
Why, how now? What's the matter? What stir is here? Whence springs this quarrel? Piso, where is he? Put up your weapons and put off this rage. My wife and sister, they are the cause of this. What Piso, where is this name?
Here, sir.
Come, let's go. This is one of my brother's ancient humours, this.
Oh, I'm glad nobody was hurt by this ancient humour. Exit Prospero, Lorenzo Jr., Musco, Stephano, Bobadilla, and Matheo.
Why, how now, brother? Who enforced this brawl?
A sort of lewd Rachaels that care neither for God nor the devil. And they must come here to read ballads and roguery and trash. I'll mar the knot of them ere I sleep, perhaps. Especially Signor Pythagoras, he that's all manner of shapes and songs and sonnets, his fellow there.
Brother, indeed you are too violent, too sudden in your courses, and you know my brother Prospero's temper will not bear any reproof, chiefly in such a presence where every slight disgrace he should receive would wound him in opinion and respect.
Respect? What talk you of respect mong such as had neither spark of manhood nor good manners? By God, I am ashamed to hear you. Respect.
Exit Giuliano.
Yes, there was one a civil gentleman and very worthily demeaning himself.
Oh, that was some love of yours, sister.
A love of mine, if faith. I would he were, no other's love but mine.
Indeed, he seemed to be a gentleman of an exceeding fair disposition, and of very excellent good parts.
Exit Hesperida and Bianca.
Her love by Jesu, my wife's minion, fair disposition, excellent good parts, heart. These phrases are intolerable good parts. How should she know his parts? Well, it is too plain, too clear. Piso, come hither. What, are they gone?
Aye, sir, they went in.
Are any of the gallants within?
No, sir, they're all gone.
Art thou sure of it?
Aye, sir, I can assure you.
Piso, what gentleman was he that they praised so?
Well, one they call him Signor Lorenzo, a fair young gentleman, sir.
Aye, I thought so. My mind gave me as much. Blood, I'll be hanged if they have not hid him in the house somewhere. I'll go search. Piso will go with me. Be true to me about, and thou shalt find me bountiful.
And exit Thorello and Piso. Oh, so many games going on here. So many angles. I'm really liking Bianca and Hesperida as a sort of unit. They are just pinging off each other in such nice ways. I'm really enjoying that amongst all the other sort of things, because of course we've set up all these wheels now. We know what the humours that most of these characters have, and so when Giuliano goes off on one, we get a chance to really enjoy that, and all the reactions, and we're a bit of violence, and it's a question of how all of these situations come about and how people are reacting to each other. Alan, then Briony.
Have we established who these two ladies are? Which one is the wife? Which one's the unmarried sister?
Lynn.
I think Bianca's the wife and Hesperida is the unmarried sister-in-law.
It'll be fine. One of the two. Briony.
Yeah, it's another scene that just took me straight back to my pub work days. I can see this ridiculous where they're squaring up and I'm definitely going to hurt you, and their friend, no, don't, and holding them back, and the drama of it. Yeah, that would be such a fun scene on a stage.
Mm. Yeah, leave it. He's not worth it. Lois.
Yeah, I mean, there is also this poetry reading, which this would be extremely funny, obviously, to an audience that probably would have spotted the source in Hero and Leander as well. And when Lorenzo gets upset about stealing from the dead, I mean, Hero and Leander is by Christopher Marlowe, who's only been dead about 5 years when this play was put on, and in a rather awful way. So, I mean, this would have been, I think, fairly significant. Oh, gosh. Sorry, I just heard the doorbell go. What better...
It happens. So, other thoughts from the room? I've some great lines, just some random lines. I do like Thorello's. How should she know his parts? I don't think we're overly modernising that, are we? Lynn.
That's. I mean, I wonder if that pun was operative at the time, because his parts, that's so modern. Like, what parts are we talking about?
Yeah, and it's always and it's that question of how far into this state of mind that Thorello's in do Hesperida and Bianca sort of get, because it feels like they're needling him. That they sort of know what's going on here. I don't know if I'm reading too much into that or not. Mm-hmm. Because it's like everybody knows everybody's peccadillos, as it were. So they're all self-aware. Well, those two definitely seem self-aware. Eric.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's kind of very much that moment of, well, you can kind of imagine Thorello sort of talking to himself and going, oh my God, what's happening? Boiling up to this rage, and then just sort of pulling Piso into a cameo, like, what did you say? Are they? Let's go look for them, you idiot. That kind of element of, But I love how he trusts Piso, and he kind of also trusts Cobb, but he doesn't ask his wife directly. He kind of just
right.
Yeah. Whereas the person who actually comes out into the rage is Giuliano. Is the other. He's just going, I've had enough. I've had enough of this.
Get out.
You have him leave part way through and then come back in again. I mean, I don't say that's wrong or even bad for the character, but there seemed to be a certain uncertainty about that.
Only in the sense that it's an exit. It's just marked exit after his last line, so it's almost certainly him. But you could reapply it. It seems to be that's the way it functions. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, he can't leave and he can't stay away.
Yeah. It's like earlier.
He can't stay and he can't leave. You know, he's
still stuck in the house, and it's like he doesn't want to explode, so he vacates the space, and then he comes back again, and then he does, and all fun is had. Yeah. Other thoughts before we move on, because it's all heating up. The house is full, and or it was full. And party time. And I've known parties like that. Eric.
I was gonna say it reminded me the whole stealing sort of lines from Hero and Leander and stuff. That just reminded me of what's called I think it was the first of the Parnassus plays where the guy was trying to imitate all the poets of his time really badly, of course, and it just sort of reminded me of that, because we were talking about students yesterday, and this is very much that thing of real life catches up and they have to get thrown out of the house because they're making too much noise and treating it like a tavern.
Yeah, and it's that very thing of just going, hey, this is my favourite bit. You must listen to this bit. That thing that we've already had in this play, and yes, you get in the Parnassus plays as well, and it's a type. It's a type. Okay, we've got two short scenes. I may pause after the first one. I may run it into the second. I don't know yet. Let's see how I'm feeling. Act 3, Scene 5. Enter Cobb. Yay! And to him, Tib.
What, Tib? Tib, I say.
How now? What cuckold is that knocks so hard? Oh, husband, it's you. What's the news?
Nay, you have stunned me, in faith. You have given me a knock on the forehead will stick by me. Cuckold? Swoons, cuckold?
Away, you fool. Did I know it was you that knocked? Come, you may call me as bad when you list.
May I? Swoons, Tib, you are a whore.
Heart, do you lie in your throat?
Ow, the lie, and in my throat too. Do you long to be stabbed, huh?
Why, you are no soldier.
That's true. When was Bobadilla here? That rogue, that slave, that fencing Burgullion, I'll tickle him in faith.
Why, what's the matter?
He has basted me rarely, sumptuously, but I have it here, we'll sauce him. Oh, the doctor, the honestest old Trojan in all Italy. I do honor the very flea of his dog. Plague on him, he put me once in a villainous filthy fear. Marry, it vanished away like the smoke of tobacco. But I was smoked soundly first, I thank the devil and all his good angels. His good angel, my guest. Well, wife or Tib, which you will, get you in and lock the door, I charge you. Let nobody into you, not Bobadilla himself, nor the devil in his likeness. You are a woman, you have flesh and blood enough in you, therefore be not tempted. Keep the door shut upon all comers.
I warrant you, there shall nobody enter here without my consent.
Nor with your consent, sweet Tib, and so I leave you.
It's more than you know whether you leave me so.
How?
Why, sweet.
Tut, sweet or sour, thou art a flower. Keep close thy door. I ask no more.
And they exit. I think I will pause here. That's quite interesting. This little exchange. I mean, we know obviously Cobb and Bobadilla's not been getting on. Was there any intimation of this kind of suspicion flagged earlier in the play? I don't recall even in passing a sort of a question of relations with his wife. I don't recall whether Tib had been flagged up as Cobb's other half earlier as well or not. I can't remember.
By implication, I think.
Yeah. So it's everybody's interrelated in different ways. I'll go to Lynn, then Eric.
No, I don't think that any intimation of impropriety between Tib and Bobadilla had been flagged before, and I don't think there's much to it here. I think Tib and Cobb are just that kind of middle-aged to older married couple that kind of just they scrap all the time. That's kind of how they bond. I can't think of something in British popular culture. It's just like it's Fred and Ethel Mertz from the Lucy Show, or To the Moon, Alice. They're that couple.
Mm. I don't know whether it's just structural that they just needed a scene to break up two scenes, or whether this is going somewhere. I don't know yet. We shall find out. Eric, then Lois.
I was going to say Cobb is starting to remind me of, okay, this is kind of a weird analogy, but anyway, bear with me. I think it's in Heroes or some other like sort of superhero series where you've got this character who can sort of absorb the powers of others he's in the room with. Aliki looks like she knows what I'm talking about. That's kind of what he seems to be doing. Like, depending on who he's in the room with and has like contact with, he picks up on their energy and leaves to do that. So like, and lastly, last week's film, he was with Thorello, who was very jealous. So obviously, of course, he's now manifesting jealousy. But then like before that, he was sort of like with Bobadilla, who is very fighty, so obviously he has to fight about something. I don't know. Maybe this is just a theory.
I'm liking this theory. He's an absorbent humour. He's a sponge for humours. Lois.
Yeah, I mean he's explaining, of course, what just happened. He now knows that Justice Clement was just joking with him, and he thinks it was funny, but now he seems to like Justice Clement, and he seems to think he'll be able to get at Bobadilla in some way. But I think Tib's yelling out, "What cuckold's knocking so hard?" is just a kind of a joke on her part, which he then takes seriously. But it's important because it starts a thing of jealousy, which is probably going to lead somewhere.
We shall see. Alan, were you waving?
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether Cobb is there mainly for sort of front of house clown or front of tabs clown thing to cover gaps between the slightly more serious material.
Well, I was thinking that, but it doesn't have a structural value looking at who's about to come on, I don't think. So it may not be that. It may have a more important structural value coming forward. So
but he's also the one who's dealing with, and I know it's an anachronism, but the malapropisms and also some of the humour which might well have played well with the groundlings.
He's got some lovely turns of phrase. I mean, Cobb just keeps getting little zingers thrown out there. I do honour the very flea of his dog is a lovely line.
Yes.
And there are other little bits in there. Fears vanishing away like the smoke of tobacco. He's really got a thing on tobacco here.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, we've got another little short scene. Let's digest that before we go into another act. Act 3, Scene 6. Enter Lorenzo Jr., Prospero, Stephano, and Musco.
Well, Musco, perform this business happily, and thou makest the conquest of my love forever.
I' faith now, let thy spirits put on their best habit, but on any hand, remember thy message to my brother, for there's no other means to start him.
I warrant you, sir, fear nothing. I have a nimble soul that hath waked all my imaginative forces by this time, and put them in true motion. What you have possessed me withal, I'll discharge it amply, sir, make no question.
And exit Musco.
That's well said, Musco. Faith, Sarah, how dost thou approve my wit in this device?
Troth, well, howsoever, but excellent if it take.
Take, man. Why, it cannot choose but take, if the circumstances miscarry not. But tell me zealously, dost thou affect my sister Hesperida as thou pretendest?
Prospero, by Jesu!
Oh, come, do not protest. I believe thee of faith. She is a virgin of good ornament and much modesty. Unless I conceived very worthily of her, thou shouldst not have her.
Nay, I think it a question whether I shall have her for all that.
Blood, thou shalt have her. By this light thou shalt.
Nay, don't swear.
By Saint Mark, thou shalt have her. I'll go fetch her presently. Point but where to meet, and by this hand I'll bring her.
Hold. What? All policy dead? No prevention of mischief stirring?
Why, by, what shall I swear by? Thou shalt have her, by my soul.
I pray thee have patience. I am satisfied, Prospero. Omit no offered occasion that may make my desires complete, I beseech thee.
I warrant thee.
And exit. So yes, we get a little brief interlude of plot. It's like, hi, yeah, there's a whole marriage plot thing going on here. The character that's barely been on stage, but has at least been introduced to you. Helen.
Yeah, I find it very interesting that Prospero is concerned that his sister should be good enough for his friend, or he wouldn't have her. He doesn't seem at all bothered. Is this man good enough for my sister? You know, that it's an interesting way of looking at things.
Yes, and it's like it's this idea. What shall I swear by? What I've got lying around? My soul will do. It's almost the reverse of. There's sort of reverse logic going on everywhere. Lois.
Well, it also fits with Stephano all the way through the play, picking up one oath after another from somebody and swearing by it. I mean, there seems to be, and then the business about whether Thorello could get Piso to swear in the bit we did yesterday, or. First he wouldn't, then he would, and so on. I mean, it's clearly a kind of running gag through the play, I think.
Any other thoughts? It was a short scene. There isn't too much to take in. But any additional thoughts there? No. Okay. Well, that's it for Act 3. Fare thee well. Let's go on to Act 4. Scene 1. Enter Lorenzo Senior, Peto, and they meet with Musco.
Was your man a soldier, sir?
Aye, a knave. I took him up begging upon the way, this morning as I was coming to the city. Oh, here he is. Come on, you make fair speed. Why, where in God's name have you been so long?
Marry, God's my comfort, where I thought I should have had little comfort of your worship's service.
How so?
Oh, God, sir, you're coming to the city, and your entertainment of men, and you're sending me to watch. Indeed, all the circumstances are as open to your son as to yourself.
How should that be? Unless that villain Musco have told him of the letter, and discovered all that I strictly charged him to conceal. 'Tis so.
Faith, you have hit it. 'Tis so indeed.
But how should he know thee to be my man?
Oh, nay, sir, I cannot tell, unless it were by the black art. Is not your son a scholar, sir?
Yes, but I hope his soul is not allied to such a devilish practice. If it were, I had just cause to weep my part in him, and curse the time of his creation. But where didst thou find them, Hortensio?
Nay, sir, rather you should ask where they found me, for I'll be sworn as I was going along in the street thinking nothing, when all of a sudden one calls, Signor Lorenzo's man! Another, he cries, Soldier! And thus half a dozen of them, till they had got me within doors, where I no sooner came, but out flies their rapiers, and all bent against my breast. They swore some 200 or 300 oaths, and all to tell me I was but a dead man if I did not confess where you were, and how I was employed, and about what, which, when they could not get out of me, as God's my judge, they should have killed me first. They locked me up into a room in the top of the house, where by great miracle, having a light heart, I slid down by bottom of a pack thread into the street, and so escaped. But, master, thus much I can assure you, for I heard it while I was locked up. There were a great many merchants and rich citizens' wives with them at a banquet, and your son, Signor Lorenzo, has appointed one of them to meet anon at one Cobb's house, a water-bearer's that dwells by the wall. Now, there you shall be sure to take him, for fail he will not.
Nor will I fail to break this match, I doubt not. Well, go thou along with Master Doctor's man, and stay there for me. At one Cobb's house, say'st thou?
And exit Signor Lorenzo sometime in the next word or two that Musco says.
Aye, sir, there you shall have him. When can you tell? Much wench or much son's blood, when he has stayed there 3 or 4 hours, travelling with the expectation of somewhat, and at the length be delivered of nothing. Oh, the sport that I should then take to look on him, if I durst. But now I mean to appear no more afore him in this shape. I have another trick to act yet. Oh, that I were so happy as to light upon an ounce now of this doctor's clerk. God save you, sir.
I thank you, good sir.
I have made you stay somewhat long, sir.
Not a whit, sir. I pray you what, sir, do you mean? You have been late in the wars, sir, it seems.
Ay, marry, have I, sir.
Troth, sir, are we glad to bestow a bottle of wine on you, if it please you to accept it?
Oh, Lord, sir.
But to hear the manner of your services and your devices in the wars, they say they be very strange, and not like those a man reads in the Roman histories.
Oh, God, no, sir. What, at any time when it please you, I shall be ready to discourse to you what I know, and more, too, somewhat.
No better time than now, sir. We'll go to the Mermaid. There we shall have a cup of neat wine. I pray you, sir, let me request you.
I'll follow you, sir. It's mine own, i' faith.
And they exit, and we'll call that the end of the scene. So Musco gets to do some storytelling. Gets to set up what I'm an incident, I'm sure, that's going to be hilarious going forward. Cobb once again is being utilised as for this. Musco declaring that it's time for a costume change. He's going to drop this disguise because there's other tricks to enact. I'm not quite sure about Peto as to what Peto's doing all this time. Because he has the first line of the scene and then says nothing for ages. And I'm quite interested just as to what's going on there, especially as there's an awful lot to watch. It's not a problem. It's just I'm curious. Thoughts in the room, Briony, then Lynn.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to bite Tib in the bum, which I'm not looking forward to, because she's just been told not to let anybody in at all, and now they're sending everybody round to hers. So yeah, I hope she comes out okay.
Yeah. It's all. It looks like chaos is coming. Lynn.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think Musco is hilarious in this scene. 6 of them had their swords pointed at me. No, really. And if I didn't, they were going to kill me. And then I got out of a window. And yeah, he was making me laugh. I know I have my camera off, but yes, I was actually laughing out loud at Musco. He was hilarious.
Abseiling with pack thread.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Lois and then Rachael.
Yeah, I mean, what Musco is doing is some sort of plot of Prospero's that they were talking about in the previous scene, which they didn't explain at all. And the main point seems to be to get Lorenzo Sr. to go to Cobb's house and waste his time there while they're getting on with what they want to do. But also I noticed that, I mean, Peto has only that one line at the beginning, but it is, was your man a soldier, sir? So Peto clearly has a thing about the armed forces and how wonderful they are or something. And that's why at the end he wants to go off and buy a drink for this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that the previous scene was going, it's a little scene of plot, but it's explicitly setting up what's happening here, but doing it in that way of just peppering data to the audience rather than just giving it all in one go. So yeah, it's nicely done. It's nicely done, and you're right. It's a wonderful bit for Musco to do, and play with. Rituals next, yes.
No, I just wanted to say that this is such a wonderful little scene. I love especially Peto and Musco's back and forth with one another. And when this one comes up for second look territory, I wonder if we could workshop this little scene, because there's something so delightful in it, and I think there's a lot of little things maybe in there.
Okay, we're going to move into what we're going to call Act 4, Scene 2, as it's an entirely additional unit of action. Enter Bobadilla, Lorenzo Jr., Matheo, and Stephano.
Signor, did you ever see the light clown of him where we were today? Signor Prospero's brother? I think the whole earth cannot show his like, by Jesu.
We were now speaking of him. Signor Bobadilla tells me he has fallen foul of you too.
Oh, aye, sir. He threatened me with the bastonado.
But I think I taught you a trick this morning for that. You shall kill him without all question, if you be so minded.
Indeed, it is a most excellent trick.
Oh, you do not give spirit enough to your motion. You are too dull, too tardy. Oh, it must be done like lightning. Ah!
Oh, rare!
I thought it is nothing, then. Don't be done that.
Signor, did you never play with any of our masters here?
Oh, good sir.
Nay, for a more instance of their preposterous humor, there came 3 or 4 of them to me at a gentleman's house where it was my chance to be resident at that time to entreat my presence at their schools. And withal so much importuned me that I protest to you, as I am a gentleman, I was ashamed of their rude demeanour out of all measure. Well, I told them that to come to a public school they should pardon me. It was opposite to my humour, and if so, they would attend me at my lodging. I protested to do them what right or favour I could, as I was a gentleman and a scholar and a soldier and everything else that is upon the earth.
So, sir, you tried their skill?
Alas, soon tried. You shall hear, sir, within 2 or 3 days after they came, and by Jesus, good Signor, believe me, I graced them exceedingly. To shoot them some 2 or 3 tricks of prevention hath got them since admirable credit. They cannot deny this, and yet now they hate me. And why? Because I'm excellent, and you're the reason on the earth.
This is strange and vile as ever I heard.
I will tell you, sir, upon my first coming to the city, they sold me some 3, 4, 5, or 6 of them together, as I have walked alone in divers places of the city, as upon the exchange, at my lodging, and at my ordinary, where I have driven them afore me the whole length of a street, in the open view of all our gallants, pitying to hurt them. Believe me, yet all this lenity will not depress their spleen. They will be doing with the pismire, raising a hill a man may spurn abroad with his foot at pleasure. By my soul, I could have slain them all, but I delight not in murder. I am loath to bear any other but a bastinado for them. And yet I hold it a good policy not to go disarmed, for though I be skillful, I may be suppressed with multitude.
Aye, but Jesus may you, sir. And, in my conceit, a whole nation should sustain the lust by it, if 'twere so.
Alas, no, what's a peculiar man to a nation not seen?
Aye, but your skills, sir.
Indeed, that might be some loss, but who respects it? I will tell you, Signor, in private, I am a gentleman and live here obscure and to take myself. But were I known to the Duke, observe me, I would undertake upon my head and life, for the public benefit of the state, not only to spare the entire lives of his subjects in general, but to save the 1/2, nay, 3 parts of his yearly charges in holding wars generally against all his enemies. And how will I do it, think you?
Nay, I know not. nor can I conceive.
Married thus, I would select 19 more to myself throughout the land. Gentlemen, they should be of good spirit, strong and able a constitution. I would choose them by an instinct, a trick that I have. And I would teach these 19 the special tricks as your punto, your reverso, your staccato, your imbroccato, your passato, your montato, till they could all play very near or all together as well as myself. This done, say the enemy were 40,000 strong, we 20 would come into the field the 10th of March or thereabouts, and would charge 20 of the enemy. They could not, in their honor, refuse the combat. Well, we would kill them, charge 20 more, kill them 20 more, kill them 20 more, kill them too. Thus we would kill every man his 20 a day. That's 20 score. That's 20 score, 200 a day, 5 days, 1,000, 40,000, 40 times 5, 5 times 40, 200 days kills them all by computation. And this will I receive, this will I venture my life to perform, provided there be no treason practiced upon.
Why, are you so sure of your hand at all times?
Tut, never mistrust upon my soul.
That's... I would not stand in Signor Giuliano's state then, and you meet him for the wealth of Florence.
Why, Signor, by Jesus, if he were here now, I would not draw my weapon upon him. Let this gentleman do his mind. But I will bust it out of him by heaven and ever I meet him.
Enter Giuliano and goes out again.
Faith, and I'll have a fling at him.
Look, yonder he goes, I think.
Blood, what luck have I? I cannot meet with these bragging rascals.
It's not he, is it?
Yes, faith, it is he.
Oh, I'll be hanged then if that were he.
Before God, it was he. You make me swear.
Upon my salvation, it was he.
Well, had I thought it had been he could not have gone so, but I cannot be induced to believe it was he.
Oh, gallant, have I found you? Draw your tools, draw, by God's will I'll thrash you.
Signor, hear me.
Draw your weapons then.
Signor, I never thought of it till now, body of St. George, I have a warrant of the peace served on me, even now, as I came along by a water bearer. This gentleman saw it, Signor Matheo.
The peace? Splud, will you not draw?
Matheo runs away. He beats him and disarms him.
Hold, Signor. Hold under thy favour, forbear.
Prate again as you like this, you horse and cowardly rascal. You control the point, you. Your consort, he is gone. Had he stayed, he had shared with you, i'faith.
And exit Giuliano.
Well, gentlemen, bear witness, I was bound to the peace, by Jesus.
Why, and though you were, sir, the law allows you to defend yourself. That's but a poor excuse.
I cannot tell. I never sustained the like disgrace, by heaven. I assure I was struck with the planet then, for I had no power to touch my weapon.
Aye, like enough. I've heard of many that have been beaten under a planet. Go, get you to the surgeons. Splud, this be your tricks, your passados and your montanos are none of them. Oh God, that this age should bring forth such creatures. Come, cousin.
Oh, Mass, I'll have his cloak.
God's will, it's Giuliano's.
Nay, but 'tis mine now. Another might have ta'en it up as well as I. I'll wear it, so I will.
Oh, and he see it. He'll challenge you, assure yourself.
Aye, but he shall not have it. I'll say I bought it.
Advise you, cousin. Take heed, he give not you as much.
And they exit, and we'll pause there. So in the melee, a cloak has been dropped, Giuliano's cloak, and it's being now worn by Stephano. I'm just repeating that just because it might be important. It just feel like it's being flagged up as a plot device. Oh, someone's left a plot device on the floor. Let me pick it up and put it on. I'm sure this won't come to kick me in the backside later. Briony.
Obviously, we're loving Bobadilla. He's brilliant. What a character. But I love Giuliano in this scene as well, storming in and storming back out again. And, love it. Love his rage.
Yeah, and the detail of that is that there's a lot more detail to what's actually going on there with this exits and entrances, and some of that was misplaced. So yeah, it's really nice. Lots of hands flying. I'll go to Eric, then Lynn, then Helen, then Alan.
I just enjoyed the maths there going, yeah, so if there's 20 of us and I teach everyone the same tricks and we're going to be invincible and, whatever, we're going to kill 20 and then kill another 20 and then kill another 20. And then, by the time we, if they don't give up by that point, we're just going to win.
Yeah, that's that's actually the system by which I spreadsheet how many plays we can get done during these sessions. It's very like Bobadilla, actually. I felt very seen. Lynn, then Helen.
Yeah, I also like the fact that Giuliano, who's like something of a badass, he's kind of the old guy. He's not the previous generation. He's probably not the same generation as Lorenzo Sr., but you get the feeling he's the older brother. So, and there could be, quite a spread depending on how you wanted to cast it. I mean, he could be 35 or 40, and his little brother Prospero could be 22. So he's a little bit older than these young braggart frat boys, but he just wipes up the floor with them, and I found that satisfying.
Lost his cloak though, so it wasn't tidy. I don't know what his technique was like, but maybe it was a bit too over the top. Helen, then Alan.
Yeah, I got confused. It's the stage direction. Matheo runs away. He beats him and disarms him.
Yes, not a helpful stage direction.
No,
it has to be said.
Why does Matheo run away? Because it's not Matheo who's being menaced. When he beats him, who beats whom? And is this before Matheo runs away? And who disarms whom?
I'll go to Lynn, then Lois.
Giuliano beats up Bobadilla, the braggart soldier type, and Matheo also has a beef with Giuliano, and when so Bobadilla and Matheo are both like, yeah, I'm gonna beat him up. I'm gonna beat him up. Yeah, he's gonna I got a big old can of whoop ass waiting for Giuliano. And as soon as he shows up, Matteo's like, yeah! And he runs away. And Bobadilla, who's got a little bit more of a braggart, he tries to confront Giuliano, but he just gets his butt handed to him.
Yeah, it's sort of all for one and all for... Hang on, where did he go? Moment.
So Bobadilla actually gets beaten up. I didn't get that at all. I've been bound to the peace on the warrant of a water bearer. Therefore, I cannot fight you.
Yeah, got that. Well,
yeah, Lois.
Well, no, he doesn't fight him. So Giuliano just goes ahead and beats him. I mean, if you won't fight me, then thud, 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 take that.
Right.
Because there's all this at the end about being beaten under a planet and so on. I mean, and then he says, "Oh, I just somehow I couldn't draw my weapon. I was bewitched or something."
Alan.
I must admit, the interesting bit for me was that Lorenzo Jr. is obviously just there, basically stirring the whole damn thing up for his own entertainment. And the way that he lets Bobadillo go off on these long rants and then just throws in another line just to wind him up another notch.
Oh yeah, because it's at the moment Matheo says Faith, I'll have a fling at him, and Lorenzo Jr. just goes, oh look, here he goes now. That's the one you said you wanted to beat up, isn't it? Look, he's there. He'll be back again in a minute. But it's all following on from this massive. I mean, it's a speech with occasional interjections. I mean, that's the thing, is that Bobadilla just it's a set piece. I wouldn't want to learn it. No. To be honest. Or no, actually, that's not true. I'd be perfectly happy to learn it, but if the director came back to me later and said we're cutting some of it, I'd kill them. Because once that's in, I suspect it would be very difficult to dislodge. Lois.
Yeah, it's a brilliant piece. I just wanted to say about Matheo that I think basically he does whatever Bobadilla does, doesn't he? I mean, if Bobadilla says, I want to kill somebody, then Matheo says, yes, I want to kill somebody. He is to Bobadilla pretty much what Stephano is to, I don't know, just about everybody. I mean, picks up whatever they're doing. But Matheo really kind of worships Bobadilla.
And that's a really useful bit for the actor, because it's almost like as the play progresses that maybe Matheo just needs to start, that his clothing needs to start looking like Bobadilla, that he just slowly turns into him as he's such a wannabe as the play progresses. That's that or something similar. I'm just projecting now. I don't know. Other thoughts? Otherwise, we'll move on to what we will call 4-3. Okay, let us move on. It's all kicking off in different directions. We're returning to Thorello and that whole household can of worms. Yes, enter Thorello, Prospero, Biancha, and Hesperida.
Now, trust me, Prospero, you were much to blame to incense your brother and disturb the peace of my poor house. For there be sentinels that every minute watch to give alarms of civil war, without injection of your assistance and occasion.
Oh, no harm done, brother, I warrant you. Since there's no harm done, anger costs a man nothing, and a tall man is never his own man till he be angry. To keep his valor in obscurity is to keep himself, as it were, in a cloak bag. What's a musician unless he play? What's a tall man unless he fight? For indeed, all this my brother stands upon absolutely, and that made me fall in with him so resolutely.
Aye, but what harm might have come of it?
Might? So might the good warm clothes your husband wears be poisoned, for anything he knows, or the wholesome wine he drunk even now at the table.
Now, God forbid. Oh, now I remember my wife drunk to me last, and changed the cup, and bade me wear this cursed suit today. See if God suffer murder undiscovered. I fear me ill. Give me some mithridate and oil. Good sister, fetch me. Oh, I'm sick at heart. I burn. Oh, if you will save my life, go fetch it me.
Oh, strange humor, my very breath hath poisoned him.
Good brother, be content. What do you mean? The strength of these extreme conceits will kill you.
Beshrew your heart blood, brother Prospero, for putting such a toy into his head.
Is a fit simile a toy? Will he be poisoned with a simile? Brother Thorello, what a strange and vain imagination is this! For shame be wiser. On my soul, there's no such matter.
Am I not sick? How am I then not poisoned? Am I not poisoned? How am I then not sick? So sick?
If you be sick, your own thoughts make you sick.
His jealousy is the poison he hath taken.
Enter Musco, disguised like the doctor's man.
Signor Thorello, my master, Dr. Clement, salutes you and desires to speak with you with all speed possible.
No time but now? Well, I'll wait upon his worship. Piso, Cobb, I'll seek them out and set them sentinels till I return. Piso, Cobb, Piso.
And exit Thorello.
Musco, this is rare. But how gotst thou this apparel of the doctor's man?
Marry, sir, my youth would needs bestow the wine on me to hear some martial discourse, where I so marshalled him that I made him monstrous drunk, and because too much heat was the cause of his distemper, I stripped him naked as he lay along asleep, and borrowed his suit to deliver this counterfeit message in, leaving a rusty armour and an old brown bill to watch him till my return, which shall be when I have pawned his apparel and spent the money, perhaps.
Well, thou art a mad knave, Musco. His absence will be a good subject for more mirth. I pray thee, return to thy young master, Lorenzo, and will him to meet me and Hesperida at the friary presently. For here tell him the house is so stored with jealousy that there is no room for love to stand upright in. But I'll use such means she shall come thither, and that, I think, will meet best with his desires. Hie thee, good Musco.
I go, sir.
And exit Musco. Enter Thorello, to him Piso.
Oh, Piso, Cobb, where are these villains trapped? Oh, art thou there? Piso, hark thee here. Mark what I say to thee. I must go forth. Be careful of thy promise. Keep good watch. Note every gallant and observe him well. that enters in my absence to thy mistress. If she would shew him rooms, the jest is stale. Follow them, Piso, or else hang on him and let him not go after. Mark their looks, note if she offered but to see his band or any other amorous toy about him, but praise his leg or foot, or if she say, the day is hot, and bid him feel her hand. How hot it is, oh, that is a monstrous thing. Note me all this, Piso, sweet Piso, mark their sighs, and if they do but whisper, break them off. I'll bear thee out in it. Wilt thou do this? Wilt thou be true, sweet Piso? I cannot hear you, Piso. I believe you are muted.
Most true, sir.
Thanks, gentle Piso. Where is Cobb now? Cobb?
And exit Thorello again, and possibly Piso as well. Not sure where Piso is. Oh, no, exits in a moment.
He's ever calling for Cobb. I wonder how he employs Cobb so.
Indeed, sister. To ask how he employs Cobb is a necessary question for you that are his wife, and a thing not very easy for you to be satisfied in. But this I'll assure you, Cobb's wife is an excellent bawd indeed, and oftentimes your husband haunts her house. Marry, to what end I cannot altogether accuse him. Imagine you what you think convenient, but I have known fair hides have foul hearts ere now, I can tell you.
Never said you a truer word than that, brother. Piso, fetch your cloak and go with me. I'll after him presently. I would to Christ I could take him there a faith.
And exeunt Piso and Bianca.
Oh, let them go. This may make sport anon. Now, my fair sister Hesperida, that you knew how happy a thing it were to be fair and beautiful.
That toucheth not me, brother.
That's true. That's even the fault of it. For indeed, beauty stands a woman in no stead unless it procure her touching. But, sister, whether it touch you or not, it touches your beauties, and I'm sure they will abide the touch, as they do not, a plague of all ceruse, say I. And it touches me, too, in part, though not in thee. Well, there's a dear and respected friend of mine, sister, stands very strongly affected towards you, and hath vowed to inflame whole bonfires of zeal in his heart in honor of your perfections. I've already engaged my promise to bring you where you shall hear him confirm much more than I am able to lay down for him. Signor Lorenzo is the man. What say you, sister? Shall I entreat so much favor of you for my friend as to direct and attend you to his meeting? Upon my soul, he loves you extremely. Approve it, sweet Hesperida, will you?
Faith, I had very little confidence in mine own constancy, if I durst not meet a man. But, brother Prospero, this motion of yours savors of an old knight adventurer's servant, methinks.
What's that, sister?
Marry, of the squire.
No matter, Hesperida. If it did, I would be such a one for my friend. But say, will you go?
Brother, I will, and bless my happy stars.
And before more people enter onto the scene, we will pause there just to take stock, because there's a lot happening. There's stuff, keyboard coming in, stuff going on. People making the situation worse. I mean, that's actually one of my tenets for writing this kind of play. How can you make the situation worse? And we're in Act 4. Stirring the pot and making things worse is all part of the fun of the thing. Alan.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, given the reference there, where does this sit time-wise versus Quixote?
Versus what?
Versus Don Quixote.
Oh, Don Quixote. Oh, it's earlier. I mean, it's earlier than the translations anyway. The first translation was 1604, and I don't think anybody was reading Spanish at this point, though they started learning after about 1604.
Because that comment there is almost totally apropos of that, isn't it?
Well, the bit about the squire, I mean, I think a squire can have a kind of double meaning of pimp, actually. I think that's what she's suggesting.
Yes, it did. It felt like an awfully laboured setup to that gag, and a gag which doesn't quite land in the same in the way it probably did then.
Yeah.
jokes don't always have that sort of longevity. Eric.
I was going to say that it's interesting how sort of Prospero is actually helping Lorenzo, and there's probably going, this is not a good idea. This is not something is, there's something fishy about this. I don't know. Maybe this is me,
Well, I mean, he couches it in, the whole approach to his sister is couched in some strange language. But it does seem to be actually a fairly straightforward approach of just going, hi, this guy quite likes you. Would you meet him? So, yeah, I'll meet him. Yeah, okay. I'm going to do that. It's yeah. They are, brother and sister, so they sort of, I'm sure they know each other's score. As it were. Eric.
I actually said that to distract from my original point, which I'd forgotten, which I've now remembered.
Excellent.
It's
if you hadn't told us that, you would have got away with that.
I know, but anyway, this is me we're talking about. Yeah, what came to mind was I can't remember which play this was, but there was one where everyone was borrowing clothing from someone else and getting framed for murder and stuff, and we had the comedy Irishman getting possibly a Marston. I don't know.
I'm going to say it's probably Monday if it's lots of people getting disguised. But
it was definitely someone like only the Irishman got sort of and got punished for doing something he didn't really do, and got hanged and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's what this reminds me of, sort of, because Musco is basically coming up with all these disguises by getting people drunk.
Yeah, and disguising himself as somebody who comes on a few seconds later. It's literally he exits and his double comes on, so he's disguised as the other servant. So exit Piso, enter Piso. It's hopefully that's a nice visual gag actually. That works quite well. And Thorello's just tying himself even more in knots and just popping in and out, and everyone's noticing. And Bianca's just going, God, what does he do with Cobb? Why is he always looking for Cobb? Other thoughts? Lynn.
I'm actually starting to feel a little bit bad for Thorello because he's, so self-tormented about his wife's possible infidelity, which is, as far as we can tell, is completely unfounded. And then Prospero, his brother-in-law, decides to torture him even further by putting the idea in Thorello's wife's mind that he's cheating on her, which is not happening either. I feel a little bad for Thorello.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in this situation, these irrational jealousies before, but where then people do really, really horrible things. Whereas here, Thorello's really just torturing himself. Primarily that's where the damage is being done. It's easily solved by just talking to someone, but people often don't do that. So it's Helen.
I love the speed of Bianca. The moment she hears that Cobb's wife is an excellent board, it's Piso, fetch your cloak. And they're off.
Yep.
Yeah, no mucking about there. Briony.
I was just going to say, I think all the women in this play have had enough of the men and their ridiculousness.
Yeah, let's just sort it out. Eric.
So basically, they're going to have like the Battle of Mumble Crust outside of sort of, Cobb's house, because Cobb told her not to open the door, so no one is actually going to get in, as far as I can tell.
Yes, the predictions of the return to the Battle of Mumble Crust. We shall see. We shall see. Don't set us up for a fall for the final session, please. Lois, did you wave earlier?
Oh, well, it's all right. I was just saying, it's again Jonson's kind of setting things up. I mean, we had first setting up the fact that Thorello wanted to know what was going on in his house and was bound to return at some point. And now we've got the setup for everybody going to Cobb's house, where there'll be obviously a traffic jam. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to complete the scene now, but we have a slight clash in my doubling. So I'm going to ask Helen, could you read Clement for the foreseeable so that Lois can focus on being Prospero and doesn't have to talk to themselves during the scene coming up. So we've got on stage, we've just had Prospero and Hesperida setting a date. Setting her up, and enter Clement and Thorello.
Why, what villainy is this? My man gone on a false message and run away when he is done? Why, what a trick is there in it? Trow, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Is my wife gone forth? Where is she, sister?
She's gone abroad with Piso.
Abroad with Piso? Oh, that villain bores me. He hath discovered all unto my wife. Beast was I to trust him. Whither went she?
I know not, sir.
I'll tell you, brother, whither I suspect she's gone.
Whither, for God's sake?
To Cobb's house, I believe, but keep my counsel.
I will to Cobb's house. Doth she haunt Cobb's? She gone on purpose now to cuckold me with that lewd rascal who to win her favour hath told her all.
And exit Thorello again.
But did your mistress see my man bring him a message?
That we did, Master Doctor.
And whither went the knave?
To the tavern, I think, sir.
What, did Thorello give him anything to spend for the message he brought him? If he did, I should commend my man's wit exceedingly, if he would make himself drunk with the joy of it. Farewell, lady. Keep good rule, you two. I beseech you now, by God's... Marry, my man makes me laugh.
And exit Clement.
What a mad doctor is this? Come, sister, let's away.
And the stage once again is cleared. So yes, that's resolving itself in various ways, bringing Clement back on, and more importantly, bringing Thorello back on just to go, oh no, why did I trust him? He's told her everything. And Prospero innocently pointing them all in the direction of Cobb's house. Eric.
I suspect that, even if his wife, Bianca, had been accompanied by a woman, he'd still go, what? Why? Just sort of regardless of the gender of the other person or, whatever, they would have gone, what? How dare she? She's yeah.
Yeah, it's all gone wrong in his mind. But Clement's having a good laugh. Helen.
You'll have to bear with me. Clement's servant is the one who is stark naked in a pub.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
With a suit of armor near him. Yeah.
With a rusty suit of armor. Fine. But what is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5?
That's what I was wondering.
I had no idea.
Good.
Unless just counting how many people are on stage, but there didn't seem to be enough. One actor. Alan.
I wonder whether it's actually him trying to calm himself down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and breathe.
Yeah. Except he doesn't seem that angry. He seems rather amused.
Yeah, no, he's
yeah, but he might be steadying his expression or whatever.
Catching his
I don't
breath.
see any reason why he should be counting. I wonder if that's something that somehow got in from something else.
No, it seems it's in the edition I'm looking at here. So it seems to have come textually from the original, but
yes, but the printer may have absorbed
I'm
sort
sure.
of prompters.
Yeah.
Note to self.
But don't tell me that Ben Jonson had a numbering system. 5 beats before the next line, please. Please, dear God.
I can believe it.
Well, this, of course, would just be the quarto, wouldn't it? Which probably wouldn't have been that great a publication compared to the stuff that was in the folio. So, there could be more errors in it.
Yeah. Genuinely no idea on that one. Maybe someone at home knows and they can put a comment and tell us all about it. Lynn.
Yeah, I would like to see the original printing because I don't think that in printed material used Arabic numerals yet. So these would have been either spelled out or in Roman numerals. Helen's going to confirm or deny.
Helen.
They both were used in by this stage in London. They both were being used. The more official the document, the more likely it was to be Roman, I think. Lynn, I think, Lois, I think, has the answer.
Yes,
Yeah.
tell us.
Yes, if it's all right to use an edited text.
Oh, go for it.
They've inserted a stage direction, a clock strikes.
Ah,
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and the footnote says there's a similar stage direction for a clock striking in Decker's Match Me in London. The peculiar setting in the quarto as part of Clement's speech may suggest that he counts off the hours as they toll.
that makes some sense.
Yeah, well, it's the only thing that makes any sense, certainly, here.
To be honest, it's a bit of business. If it's there, I'm struggling to feel the need for it to stay. I'm not feeling that there's anything particularly important there.
No, because nobody's talked about doing anything at 5 o'clock. So
yeah.
What wasn't there an appointment made
Yeah,
later in the day at Cobb's?
but
wasn't it 5 though? Was it?
yeah,
I thought it was maybe 6.
yeah.
So allowing a bit of time for travel.
I'm not. Yeah, maybe. I'm not fussed either way. So I'll go to Rachael then Eric. Other thoughts?
I mean, Thorello had this weird thing with time too that Clement's having right now. He was going on and on about 10, that clock was striking 10. So I mean, if a production wanted to take out that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because it's a little what is going on there, you could still have the sound effect of a clock tolling, just so people get the audience could get the idea of what general time it is, or like the passage of time.
I know. Thorello's got an Apple Watch, isn't it? It's just there's constant beeping reminders, isn't it? So Clement's just responding. It's just a response to Thorello. Eric, then Lois.
Well, I was thinking, like, when that first came up, I thought it was counting the number of people on stage, but now I'm starting to think that maybe, then again, he's not a medical doctor, but maybe he's taking his pulse for some reason. I don't know. It just kind of doesn't really. It reads weirdly. I don't know.
It's just as something that might slow down the pace of the scene rather than speed it up, and that's why I'm sort of troubled by it. Anyway, Lois.
Yeah, I mean, Jonson is writing a classical comedy, which means that it all takes place in the course of one day. So we've had a reference to 10 in the morning, and now we're getting a reference to 5 in the afternoon. I mean, I think he's drawing our attention to the way that this is a day, passing. That doesn't mean we have to keep it in.
No, no. Or we could go really meta and just go, we're nearly at Act 5. So final unit of action before we close the session. We have, I'll call it 4-4. Enter Matheo and Bobadilla.
I wonder, Signor, what they will say of my going away, huh?
Why, what should they say but as of a discreet gentleman? Quick, wary, respectable of natures, fine lineaments, and that's all.
Why so? But what can they say of your beating?
A rude part, a touch with soft wood, a kind of gross battery used laid on strongly, borne most patiently, and that's all.
Aye, but would any man have offered it in Venice?
But I assure you, no. You shall have there your nobilis, your gentilezza. Come in bravely upon your reverse. Stand you close, stand you firm, stand you fair. Save your retricata with his left leg. Come to the assolto with the right. Thrust with brave steel, defy your base wood. But wherefore do I wake this remembrance? I was bewitched by Jesus, but I will be revenged.
Do you hear? Is it not best to get a warrant and have him arrested and brought before Dr. Clement?
It were not amiss, would we had it.
And enter Musco.
Why, here comes his man. Let's speak to him.
Agreed. Do you speak?
God save you, sir.
With all my heart, sir.
Sir, there is one, Giuliano, hath abused this gentleman and me, and we determined to make our amends by law. Now, if you would do us the favor to procure us a warrant for his arrest of your master, you shall be well considered, I assure you in faith, sir.
Sir, you know my service is my living. Such favors as these, gotten of my master, is his only preferment, and therefore you must consider me as I may make benefit of my place.
And how is that?
Faith, sir, the thing is extraordinary, and the gentleman may be of great account. Yet be what he will, if you will lay me down 5 crowns. In my hand you shall have it, otherwise not.
How shall we do, signor? Have you no money?
What a cross, by Jesus.
Nor I. Before God, but tuppence left of my 2 shillings in the morning for wine and cakes. Let's give him some pawn.
Pawn? We have none to the value of his demand.
Oh, Lord, man, I'll pawn this jewel in my ear, and you may pawn your silk stockings and pull up your boots. They never will be missed.
Nah, well, then there be no remedy. I'll step aside and put them off.
Do you hear, sir? We have no store of money at this time, but you shall have good pawn. Look you, sir, this jewel and this gentleman's silk stockings, because we would have it dispatched ere we went to our chambers.
I am content, sir. I will get you the warrant presently. What's his name, say you? Giuliano?
Aye, Giuliano.
What manner of man is he?
Oh, big, tall man, sir. He goes in a cloak, most commonly of silk russet, laid about with russet lace.
Is very good, sir.
Yeah, here's my jewel.
And here are stockings.
Well, gentlemen, I'll procure this warrant presently, and appoint you a varlet of the city to serve it. If you'll be upon the Rialto anon, the varlet shall meet you there.
Very good, sir. I wish no better.
And exit Bobadilla and Matheo.
This is rare. Now will I go pawn this cloak of the doctor's man's at the broker's for a varlet suit, and be the varlet myself, and get either more pawns or more money of Giuliano for my arrest.
And exit Musco. Revenge of the Cloak. It continues. It continues more and more. Yes, we may have to tweak in performance the phrasing of talking about porn because of the unfortunate homophone and modern audiences just having filthy minds. But otherwise, it's perfectly clear. It's just someone will titter. You know what they're like.
Just have to perform it in the States where it's pawn and doesn't sound at all like porn.
Yeah, someone will mishear it. Someone will mishear it.
Oh. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because my Yankee ear did not hear that. I don't what?
Yeah.
Oh.
Rachael.
You are a translator. Look, there you go.
Yeah. What do you call it? 2 Americans, that doesn't sound the same at all. I don't hear well, and I still don't hear that. So I mean, it depends on your audience, I guess.
But we flag up unfortunate things, even if they're not necessarily universal. So that's cool. I just other thoughts as well about this scene. Some fun business. Musco continuing. He's finished with this costume. Is he going to get a different disguise? What's next? What's next for Musco? It's all going to be revealed in Act 5. Other thoughts about Bobadilla once again? Do you feel like he's acting out his moves again? There's going to have to be quite a lot of precise choreography going on here. I feel we need Alexandra in the room or any of our other fighty people to talk through some of the stuff that's going on here. But Matheo, he so wants to learn. He so wants to be the guy, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of envisioning that scene. Bobadillo, for all his braggadocio and but innate cowardice. He may be actually fairly quick and graceful, and actually have some moves, but Matheo suffers from large motor delay. I think so. He's trying to imitate his friend, but he's just like, he's super awkward, it's like, but he's just like super clumsy. That's what I was envisioning in that scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Other thoughts? We're starting to run out of steam. It's a long play. This is the third session. We haven't even... We've still got Act 5 to go. There's just so much. Eric?
Yeah, I'm enjoying this sort of like plan that is totally not going to go wrong. I mean, it can't possibly go wrong if you pursue someone legally and, everyone's disguising... Well, actually, just Musco and another person are dressed as somebody else. So, no harm will ever come to these people.
Well, Stephano, who, to be honest, hasn't done a lot this quarter. He's said a few appropriated some more catchphrases, but he hasn't, and he's been on stage, but he said pretty. He had a lot to say at the beginning of the play, and he sort of drifted off. But he's just been there he's been set up. He's been set up for what's presumably about to happen next. He's
Lorenzo did warn him. Sorry,
did absolutely, yeah. But that's the best way to make him do it. Tell him not to do something. Stephano will then do it. That's how Stephano, I think, works. Lois.
Yeah, I think one reason Stephano's being quiet, apart from the fact that you just can't have everybody displaying their humor all the time, or it would be too much, is that he's being melancholy. He's decided to adopt this pose of being so melancholy and miserable that he's mainly silent. I think
he's upstaging everyone, right? That's okay. That's fine. I know.
Yeah, he probably is. I mean, he could be, if depending on the actor. I think there's something rather touching about the way Bobadilla and Matheo are kind of reinforcing each other's illusions about their public image and their character and so on. I mean, on some level, they must know that the whole thing has been an absolute disgrace to them, but each of them is kind of massaging the other's feelings. I mean, in a way, compared to a lot of Jonson's plays, I think actually most of these characters are sort of sympathetic. I mean, you can sort of see how their minds work and how pathetic it is that they don't really work terribly well.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of malice here, is there? I mean, it's okay. There are some people are setting people up for, but you don't get the impression that they want to ruin their lives or anything. They're just having a bit of a jape, and it'll be fine. Yeah. It's not like Marston coming up, where you get the impression that there's intent that is bitter and much more aggressive. But that's a few years in the future. We're not there yet. Eric.
Yeah, in Marston you get the whole identity theft is identity theft. You don't sort of you steal someone's life, and obviously sort of I think I don't know if Jonson does that in later plays where the characters are just as horrible as they seem to be, whereas this one you can kind of, like Lois said, you can kind of sympathize with them and sort of go, they might not be that bright, but deep down they're not quite as terrible, perhaps, he says with hesitation.
I will avoid spoilers, so we shall see where his oeuvre goes further down the line. Just to reassure everyone, the next scene in Act 5 does look like they might all be heading to Cobb's. I'm sure that comes as a surprise to everyone. It seems to be that's the direction of travel. So hopefully we're set up for a very enjoyable session. But we're moving into time for final thoughts. Many of you in the room have been here for the journey so far, have been getting a sense of the overall shape of it. And now that we're at the end of session 3, about to go into session 4, that prospect of, how do you marshal this text for a production gets more pressing now, because now we're getting a sense of the shape, that there is a shape, and that what part of the text might need to get more contracted than other parts of the text. Because what we've had today feels like everything's ticking over quite nicely and moving at a reasonable lick. Where do we think things might disappear? What bits do we think have got the most legs for people today? Are there bits that aren't landing for us today? How do we marshal our forces? So, final thoughts from around the room. I'll start with the person who has absolutely no idea what happened in the rest of the play. Aliki, thrown in at the deep end. Any final thoughts? Any idea where to land with this?
I think that there's an awful lot of fun to be had, let's put it that way. I think there are probably a lot of comedy entrances and exits, people coming on and going, come on a little bit later, and people dashing off and then coming back in 5 seconds afterwards. I can see there's a lot of physical comedy in it, and there's some brilliant comic speeches. I just want to see the rest, really.
Lynn, any final thoughts from you? You've been with us throughout, so yeah.
So what I was noticing today is a structural thing. It's all the duplication or mirroring in the structure, and particularly in the characters. There seems to be this sort of, copia. There's 5 young friends, Prospero and Lorenzo Jr. and Stephano and Matheo and Bobadilla. So they're all, age mates, and they all hang out together. So that's quite a gaggle of guys. It's really more than you need, but that's obviously deliberate. And I would argue that Thorello and Giuliano are versions of each other. They're the slightly older, trying to be more mature, trying to be respectable, and there's sort of their versions of the Senex of Lorenzo Sr. And you don't really need Piso and Peto, but you have them. So I feel like that's sort of a deliberate structural thing, that there's all this kind of repetition and mirroring and multiple versions of characters, and there are probably multiple versions of scenes, and the idea of cuckoldry repeats itself. That's in production, that would probably kind of contribute to that feeling of chaos. But I think if you took a more of a long view of the script as structure, you would see that it's actually kind of organized chaos. So I think that would be something to look at in production, is the repetitions, the reflections. And then, do we have characters that don't have mirrors, or events that don't have mirrors, and are those more important? So that's just something to look at, is like all this, the same thing over again.
Alan, any final thoughts?
No, I mean it's certainly moving forward, but I've still got the same issue that I flagged yesterday, which is I'm not sure where you could make any significant cuts without doing severe damage to the machinery of the whole piece.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. I mean, I'm looking. There's a lot of salami cuts. I mean, it's quite difficult to evaluate salami cutting, because you cut a load and then you find it's exactly the same length as it was when you started. There's no obvious. There are a couple of scenes where I'm thinking, okay, most of that scene can go. So there's some of the ones where they're marking a little bit of plot. Actually, the material isn't that important. Some of the stuff around it. I don't think you could. There's nothing wholesale that you remove. There's not a plot line you can take out, because I think that would kill it dead very quickly. I think that's the thing, is that it is very intricate. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I think I basically covered it.
Yeah. Lois, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as usual, I'm thinking what a brilliant play this is, and what I particularly like is just that every part in it is worth playing. I mean, all the characters are fun, And most of them get, at least one kind of show-off speech where they can really display themselves. I mean, Jonson had both been a soldier and an actor, and he just has a sort of feeling, for this play, and I think also for the kind, he at least knows the right sort of place names to drop in and do the fake soldier stuff, which seems to be quite important in here. No, he's just got so many different ideas running through it, and they tie up so beautifully. No, it's a real pleasure to do it. I think as far as cutting, mainly just make some of the long speeches shorter, but part of the point of some of them is that the character is going on. I mean, like Thorello, who just can't stop really, manufacturing more and more horrible things that could be happening in his absence.
It's also just that structural thing of where do you put the interval? Is that thing, because by God, you need to have one. And it's quite, is it in that lead up to that big house party, or is it sort of when it breaks up? Is it in the middle of where does that land? Because a lot of these plays resist an interval. Structurally they don't want them to be there, but sometimes we go, here's the interval, and put it there, and it's really neat and tidy. And this one is you don't want that first half. You want to get into the action a bit quicker. It's that first half of the play, those first two sessions that we've done, is where I'm thinking that's where we really need to condense. We need to get to that sense of momentum faster. I just don't know how to do it. Is sort of where I'm at the moment. Eric, any final thoughts?
I'm enjoying this. Bobadilla was just fun to play. Started going, because I'm excellent and for no reason on the earth. This is the reason everyone hates me. Not because I pissed them off, or just kind of think I'm the best. And I like how at that moment Lorenzo Jr. feeds him the line sort of, how can you be so sure? It's like, because I know, I mean, duh. That's kind of the modern equivalent, I think. He's just so sure of himself, and I don't understand how he's made it this far without someone killing him, but I mean, I just love him.
Briony, any final thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of agreement for what other people have said. I don't know why he has written the rewrite in London, because I would have put it like Magaluf or somewhere, because this is like screaming lads on tour to me, a lot of this. I think there's so much stuff that would still be relevant and appealing to a modern audience in this. I really like it.
Yeah. It's got its very particular moment in history, but it's resonating, and that's sort of nice that you can do both at the same time. I like that. Helen, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I have no opinion on how one would stage it, except to say probably with great difficulty. But I do adore the way everyone is weaponizing the law. It's very, very, I don't know what it was like in Venice at the time, but it's very, very London.
I mean, that's maybe why they set it in Venice, because it was very, very London.
And also the infrastructure of Magaluf at this period was not really conducive to this sort of play.
Yes. Rachael, final thoughts.
I've been thinking about the humorism stuff I don't know, his use of humorism is just so intriguing to me, because it reminds me of modern acting techniques and trying to figure out like it reminds me of animal work that you learn in studios, and then also I don't know, even like the small parts that are in this, like Hesperida, that there's so much personality that he's endowed all these characters with. And to what Lois said before she had to leave, how she said he was a soldier, it makes me think of A Farewell to Arms by like Ernest Hemingway, and even though this isn't about, war or anything like that, that sort of young man's machismo that these guys are running around with. Just to put it into modern context for myself, Jonson is so much to get my head around, and he's given us so much to work with. I mean, both lengthwise and you know what I mean in terms of character depth.
There's so much that I'm so glad that Lois actually brought up the thing that the practical soldiering is something that Jonson actually had experience with, which is why it's not just the sense that you've got characters who are bragging about being soldiers, but that they feel like real brags, if that makes sense, the kind of logical brags that people do make. As well as people imitating that. That's something really interesting. And yes, we will dig more into humours as we go forward. Rachael, you wanted to say more?
Oh yeah, Sleepy Hollow, Legend of Sleepy Hollow, another one. There's a joke in there about how about old men and their war stories, and it feels like these young men are making the exaggerations of old men in their war stories. So maybe that very modern thing or timeless thing of people saying that they're bigger than they are, that they've had more achievements than they do in this masculine boasting.
And yeah, that's the other thing to say. We've liked the female characters that we've had. They haven't done a lot. And they haven't said a lot, and that is an awkwardness, or what is an otherwise a very good ensemble piece. I think Helen said was that they're all there's some really great characters, and or someone said it, and they're all interacting, and they're all functioning, and they've all got something to do, and they're all fun. But yeah, it's defiantly not a balanced cast in that sense, but there are always performance ways to sort out that to make it more even. Any other final thoughts anyone wants to throw in? I think I've gone around the room once. We still have a couple of minutes in lieu if anyone wants to jump in. I think everyone's done. Oh no, Eric tentatively raises a finger.
Yeah, I'm trying to resist just rereading that whole speech about killing 20 men and then killing 20 more and then killing 20 just because it's such. I love the idea that he has a plan. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if it works, it's a good way of it's a good efficiency saving. I think it's very, very logical. Right. Well, we have Act 5 yet to come next time when we'll finally climb to the top of this beast before we slide down the other end with the sequel. So all that remains is to thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Bye.
Faith, I did it in Humour.